All right, let's dive right into what actually separates the 99% of amateurs out there from the elite Wall Street professionals. Look, if you look at wildly successful stock traders and just assume they got lucky or, I don't know, were born with some magical gift for the markets, it's really time to completely rewire your thinking. In today's explainer, we are unpacking the exact psychological framework you absolutely must adopt if you ever want to think, act, and execute like a true professional trader.
Because, it literally all starts in the mind. It's perfectly captured by this classic Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, "You become what you think about all day long." Elite success on the trading floor, it is not about natural talent. It's about conscious, relentless psychological conditioning. Professional traders aren't just born. They're built, trade by trade, day by day, through their habits.
So here is your professional playbook for today. Step 1, decide to be a champion. Step 2, taming your inner wrecking ball. Step 3, aligning your beliefs with your strategy. Step 4, the blueprint for modeling success. And finally, Step 5, mastering the professional process. Let's get into it. Okay, Section 1, decide to be a champion. So professional mastery really only begins when you accept one fundamental truth, and it's this: winning isn't luck. It's a deliberate choice. Out there in the market, amateurs often lose because subconsciously they actually kind of want to fail. I know that sounds crazy, but to trade like a pro, you must take 100% responsibility for your P&L. You have to actively decide you are going to be a winner and completely stop just throwing capital at the market, hoping you're going to strike it rich. Moving on to Section 2, taming your inner wrecking ball. The very second you step into the live market, you're essentially facing two internal wolves. On one side, you've got the builder. Now, the builder is incredibly disciplined, completely process-driven, and views drawdowns as highly valuable teachers. When a trade goes sideways, the builder just calmly adjusts the system. But on the other side, that's the wrecking ball. And this side is pure ego. If a setup doesn't work out immediately, the wrecking ball just abandons the strategy entirely and starts blaming the market. To survive long-term, you absolutely must consciously feed the builder and starve that wrecking ball. And this movie quote from Two for the Money brilliantly highlights the real danger of that wrecking ball mentality. A lot of people who just dabble in the markets are really just gambling for the adrenaline rush, right? When you're losing, your heart is pounding, you feel all that drama. Subconsciously, a lot of amateurs play to lose simply because that thrill proves they exist, and they're entirely avoiding the boring, methodical, unglamorous hard work that actual winning requires. All right, Section 3, aligning beliefs with strategy. To execute consistently day in and day out, professionals ruthlessly avoid an absolute account killer, and it's known as style drift. This happens when an amateur hits a rough patch, which we all do, and immediately abandons their strategy. Suddenly they try day trading, then maybe some value investing, then swing trading. They just become a mediocre jack of all trades. A true professional specializes, completely trusting that their specific edge is eventually going to cycle right back into favor. Now, style drift ultimately stems from a lack of congruency. Think about it. If you try to force a highly volatile momentum strategy, but deep down you're an inherently risk-averse person and you absolutely hate watching your P&L swing wildly, you are going to self-sabotage. You'll cut your winners way too short and you'll hold on to your losers forever, all because your actions are constantly fighting your core beliefs. To trade like a pro, your specific edge must perfectly match your actual personality. Which brings us to Section 4. The blueprint for modeling success. To truly model success, you have to obsessively walk in your mentor's shoes. The author shares this absolutely wild story about a protege named Darren. So the author wasn't just a trader, he was a bodybuilder who shaved his legs. While Darren, this skinny guy who didn't even lift weights, literally shaved his own legs just to mirror his mentor. Why on earth would he do that? Because Darren realized that to trade like a champion, he needed to internalize a champion's extreme, unwavering discipline in every single area of his life. And you know what? That single-minded focus actually drove Darren to a 160% return in his very first year. And finally, Section 5, mastering the professional process. So you've probably seen this number before. A famous study of Berlin violinists basically proved that there are no naturals at the elite level. By age 20, top-tier performers averaged exactly this: 10,000 hours of deliberate, deep practice. Well, the exact same data applies to Wall Street. You really cannot expect to just fund a brokerage account and immediately start printing money without putting in those grueling hours of screen time and backtesting. And here is sort of the controversial truth of the professional playbook. To rack up those hours, you must intentionally become unbalanced. We hear constant praise for work-life balance these days, but elite mastery, it requires real sacrifice. You literally have to trade the modern illusion of a perfectly well-rounded life for deep, laser-focused immersion. You've got to eat, sleep, and breathe price action.
Inside that deep immersion, you're going to hit what's called the Clum principle. Comfortable equals less, uncomfortable equals more. It's like expanding rings. You start right there in ring 1, your safe little comfort zone. But as you gain screen time, you have to push into ring 2, actually sizing up your positions. And eventually, you've got to stretch into those outer rings, entirely stripping away what feels natural, like, say, panicking the second a stock drops, to execute what feels totally unnatural. That, right there, is how you become supernatural. As you continuously push outward into those uncomfortable zones, your actual understanding evolves. First, a strategy is just an idea that you're evaluating. Second, it becomes a belief that you trust. But the absolute final stage of the elite professional is knowing. Through years of sweat and serious discomfort, your trading strategy becomes completely instinctive and automatic. Flawless execution doesn't even require thought anymore. It is simply baked right into your DNA.
So, we've broken down the exact psychology, the brutal dedication, and that relentless process that separates the elite from the 99%. The ball is entirely in your court now. Have you truly made the deliberate choice to win, fully committing to those 10,000 hours and taming your inner wrecking ball? Or are you just hanging around the markets, waiting to get lucky?